Right now, 3 out of every 4 Americans you pass on the street are walking blindly toward a retirement they simply cannot afford. We are sold this beautiful dream of the golden years, filled with peaceful mornings, endless travel, and total freedom from stress. But beneath that heavily marketed fantasy lies a terrifying mathematical reality. More than half of all American workers have less money saved for their entire retirement than they earned in a single year of work. And here's the digit that should send a chill down your spine. 27% of Americans have absolutely nothing saved, not a small amount they are embarrassed about, but exactly $0. Today, we are going to look past the financial advisor brochures and the optimistic daydreams. We are going to break down the exact brutal math of why so many people are arriving at retirement completely broke, the systemic traps that put them there, and what you must do immediately to avoid becoming part of this terrifying statistic. Section 1. The terrifying mathematics of zero. Let us start by looking closely at the cold, hard data regarding the median retiree. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, the median retirement savings for Americans between the ages of 65 and 74 is exactly $200,000. This means half of the people in this age bracket have less than that amount saved, which is a dangerously low number to fund a life without a paycheck. When you dig deeper into the distribution, 33% of Americans aged 65 to 74 have less than $100,000 to fund potentially 3 decades of life. But the most alarming group is the 27% of Americans who have reached this stage with zero retirement savings. That means 1 out of every 4 people you meet is planning to rely entirely on Social Security when they retire, assuming the program can sustain them. If you arrive at retirement with $0, you have absolutely no margin for error. You will be entirely dependent on an underfunded Social Security system, or you will be a heavy burden on your family. Section 2. The death of the pension. How did the wealthiest nation in human history end up with a retirement system where the vast majority of its citizens are heading toward poverty in their old age? The answer is structural, and it has been quietly building for over 40 years. In 1980, approximately 38% of private sector workers had a traditional pension plan. Their employer managed the fund, took all the investment risk, and guaranteed them a specific monthly payment for life. Today, less than 15% of private sector workers have access to a traditional pension. The system was replaced almost entirely by the 401k plan, which shifted 100% of the responsibility and the risk directly onto the individual worker. We took retirement security, which used to be a benefit managed by financial professionals, and turned it into a do-it-yourself project for people who have absolutely no formal training in finance or investing. We expect everyday workers to perfectly manage asset allocation and withdrawal rates while simultaneously trying to raise children and pay their daily bills. Section 3. The crushing cost of living. The disappearance of the pension might have been survivable if wages had actually kept up with the cost of living, but they absolutely have not. When you adjust for inflation, the median wage in America has remained essentially flat since the 1970s. Meanwhile, housing costs have exploded by 300%, healthcare costs have surged by over 400%, and higher education costs have skyrocketed by more than 1,500%. Financial advisors calmly tell people to save 15% of their income for their future. But when 68% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, saving 15% is an absolute fantasy. When rent takes 40% of your income, student loans take 10%, healthcare takes another 10%, and you still need to feed your family, heat your home, and keep your car running, saving money becomes nearly impossible for the average worker. Section 4. The chains of debt. On top of the crushing cost of living, people are drowning in a massive sea of consumer debt. The average American household carries about $7,500 in credit card debt, With interest rates averaging between 21 and 24%, this debt becomes a financial black hole. When you are paying $150 per month in credit card interest, that is $150 that could be growing in a retirement account. Over 30 years at an 8% return, that single monthly interest payment would grow to approximately $220,000. Combine that with an average student loan balance of $40,000 that people are paying off well into their 40s and 50s, and you can see exactly why the retirement accounts are completely empty. Every dollar going towards student loan interest is a dollar that isn't compounding, meaning you lose 20 years of potential growth. Americans are literally financing their future poverty by paying interest to credit card companies today. Section 5. The cash trap and mismanagement. Even when people do manage to save a little money, a lack of financial education causes them to make devastating mistakes. For example, nearly 1/3 of people leave their retirement contributions sitting entirely in cash, meaning the money never gets invested at all. They assume that once the money enters the account, it automatically begins working for them. But retirement accounts are like empty buckets. You have to actively choose what fills them, and the default is often cash. Cash, sitting in a retirement account, does not grow. It does not compound. It simply waits while inflation quietly reduces its purchasing power every single year. By the time people check their accounts years later, they wonder why the balance didn't grow the way they expected, only to learn their contributions were never invested. This lack of basic financial awareness prevents millions of people from taking advantage of the stock market, which has historically doubled wealth roughly every 10 years. Section 6. The survival plan, buying time. If you find yourself approaching your 50s or 60s with $0 or very little saved, you cannot rely on standard advice. You must make drastic adjustments immediately. First, you must consider working longer, because every single year you delay your retirement gives you another year to save and allows your existing money to grow. Most importantly, retiring at age 70 instead of age 62 can increase your monthly Social Security benefit by an incredible 77%. That massive difference in guaranteed monthly income can be the line between eating cat food and living with dignity. You might also need to dramatically reduce your planned retirement expenses by downsizing your house, investing the equity, and moving to a location with a much lower cost of living. You have to accept that your retirement will not look like the luxury commercials on television, but it can still be secure if you take aggressive action right now. Here is the ultimate truth that you cannot escape. Retirement is not an optional phase of life. Eventually, your physical body will slow down, your cognitive abilities will change, or the job market will simply push you out, whether you are financially ready or not. If you arrive at that moment without enough money, you will be facing genuine poverty in old age, which is legitimately dangerous to your health and well-being. But if you are watching this and you still have years left in the workforce, you have the absolute power to change your trajectory. Start investing aggressively today, pay off your toxic debts, and refuse to accept the terrifying average outcome. If this video provided you with a vital reality check, please hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and share it with someone who needs to hear this truth. The clock is ticking. See you in the next one.